When I first met Cameron, he had no neck problems at all. But since I've met him, he's breaking down. I'm not sure if that's because we manipulate him. Okay, so turn to the left, turn to the right, face me, ear to shoulder, and ear to shoulder. Okay, go to the left again, and to the right. Okay, so now I'm going to take him back to the left, back to the right. So, as a dancer, he's particularly mobile anyway. They all have hypermobile body types. So it's hard to see it initially, but if you look at the side bending, you'll notice that the right side is definitely not producing a correct curve. Can you do that again for us? And to the left. So you don't notice, if you're looking at the head movement, it's not going to tell you anything. You've got to look at the neck. How is it bending? So then we take him into extension. And the loss of movement becomes much more obvious. He doesn't like side bending in either direction, because the left side is obviously hypermobile. So you've got to get used to not listening to your patient going, oh man, that is sore. You see, you just look. Really without listening. If this was an acute patient, yeah, we would have to listen carefully, but not in chronics. Pain will simply take you off, the wrong directions. So let's get you sitting. The right extension quadrant. So I place my hand over his forehead. This is going to prevent me extending him in both the craniovertebral region and cervical spines at the same time. We never want to do that. Not in therapy or in assessment. So what you can do is just feel what, hey, this is his normal side. What does that feel like? Okay, just get an idea. And now let's go here. Well, it's not long before the first joint we hit, it's like, no, it doesn't feel good. And then he starts to loosen up. Boom. So I'm thinking it's around the right C23 cannot extend. Let's get you up here. Back. So very rarely do I feel just the one side. I'm always comparing apples to apples. So as much as I'm going to now feel the right extension quadrant, I'm also going to feel the left extension quadrant. See what that is, the quality. So here I'm doing a Z joint imp with my right hand, U joint sound with my left hand as I go down the neck. And straight away I can feel a difference in the quality of the movement. And it appears again to be around C23. Everybody with me? This is what you've been taught so far. Now I'm going to pick on C3 and fix it. Be careful not to put too much pressure. It's the biggest problem. Remember, the other side is almost certainly sensitized. Squeeze too hard, that's going to be the block that you pick up, not the actual inert block. So I'm testing C23 on the left. Remember, I do the craniovertebral lock and then I drop him into extension left side bending. Speed it up, it looks like this. So when I look at C23 on the right, there is no movement. Magnified by how much movement he's got on the left. Then I move down to 3-4. He moves great. Come back up to 2-3. Boom. There's the block. It should be that obvious. And this is, of course, looking for Z-joint motion. No point in me testing U-joint motion if a Z-joint restriction exists, because obviously that's going to dominate over the whole segment. So we're going to manipulate or mobilize C23, and then we'll be able to check the U-joint. And when we check the U-joint, if I have a loss of right side bending and extension, which U-joint motion am I interested in?
The cell.
Which side?
On the left.
Left.
Yep. So the left joint sal, I'm going to get there by extending him and translating him to the left. My finger pads are over the back of the transverse process, and while I hold my right hand still to create an axis, I'm going to lift into the sal motion. Let's compare apples to apples. Swing him to the right. Okay, that's what it should feel like. And in this instance, even though he's still got the Z joint, you can feel the U joint is not a problem. So we're ready to go. All we have to do now is decide on what we think is the most appropriate treatment. Is it going to be appropriate to manipulate him, and we've got all those factors to now take into account, or should we mobilize him? So how about we get this far? With that systematic step assessment, we should be able to get to this point very quickly. Worth remembering, patients do not come in for assessment, even though that's the most important part of your role. They come in for treatment. They actually want to get better. So the faster we can get through the assessment accurately, the quicker we can get onto the treatment. It'll be the exercises that always take the bulk of the time. So let's see if we can get a bit more efficient on the assessment. So let's practice this.